They ignore you, not because you are weak, but because you are predictable. You speak, and they already know how you will finish the sentence. You show emotion, and they already know how to trigger it again. You stay, even when they wound you, so they wound you without consequence. This is how power is measured, not by words, not by kindness, by how easy you are to control. Let that settle. Then listen carefully. You were taught to be noble. They were taught to test noble people. You were told to explain yourself. They were told to observe who explains too much. You were taught to fix things with emotion. They were taught to win by staying colder, longer. Now you wonder why you feel drained, ignored, misread. It is not that they failed to understand your value. It is that you made your value too accessible. There are habits that invite power, and there are habits that kill it the moment you open your mouth. Let us begin. The first habit that weakens you in the eyes of the powerful is over-explaining. If you must always justify, clarify, or soften what you mean, you are telling the world your position is fragile. You are showing uncertainty. Worse, you are inviting negotiation where there should be none. The powerful listen, not for your reasons, but for your weakness. When you explain yourself too often, they stop listening to what you say. They begin to focus on how much you need their approval. And the moment they sense that need, they will test it. Speak with precision. Speak only once. Then watch. Let silence do what your words never can. The second habit is being emotionally accessible to everyone. If they can read you, they can reach you. If they can reach you, they can move you. And if they can move you, they can own you. Power is not about loudness. Power is about being unreadable. Do not let everyone see your joy. They will try to steal it. Do not let everyone see your anger. They will learn how to provoke it. And never let anyone see your desperation. They will feed on it until there is nothing left. Emotion is currency. Spend it only where it returns. The third habit is apologizing for your boundaries. Every time you say sorry for needing space, for choosing yourself, or for protecting your time, you lower your value. Not because boundaries are wrong, but because you framed them as an inconvenience. The powerful never apologize for drawing a line. They expect you to adjust, and if you do not, they walk away, without noise, without explanation. Adopt this. Practice it. Your time is not owed. Your energy is not free. And your boundaries are not up for discussion. The fourth habit is being too available. You answer immediately. You always say yes. You rearrange yourself to stay liked. That is not kindness. That is training others to treat you as background noise. Powerful people study who chases them. They notice who waits. And they respect those who choose absence over begging. The moment you make yourself too reachable, they stop reaching for you. Distance is not cruel. It is clarity. And in a world that always wants more from you, your absence becomes your only leverage. Let us pause here. These four habits, over-explaining, emotional availability, apologizing for boundaries, and over-availability, are not just social errors. They are signals. To the powerful, they are indicators of who will break first, who will fold under pressure, who can be used, watched, and discarded without fear of retaliation. Do not take it personally. Take it strategically. What you reveal is what they weaponize. What you protect is what they respect. The fifth habit that weakens you in the eyes of the powerful is seeking reassurance. Every time you ask, "Was that okay?" Every time you look for validation after speaking, acting, or choosing, you hand over authority. Reassurance is not just a question. It is a confession. It tells them you do not trust your own mind. And once they see that, they will never trust it either. Understand this. Powerful people are drawn to certainty, not because certainty is always correct, but because it is stable. It is calm under pressure. It does not ask for comfort. They watch how often you check their face after you speak. They count how many times you ask if they are upset. They listen for hesitation in your voice, not because they care, but because they assess. Every signal you send teaches them how to treat you. Every glance you seek trains them to control you. Stop asking for reassurance. Replace it with observation. If they respect you, you will feel it in their consistency. If they do not, your words will never be enough. The sixth habit is complaining. When you complain, you confess a lack of control. You are telling the world, something is wrong, and I can do nothing about it. You think you are venting. They hear surrender. Powerful people do not respect helplessness. They study it. They use it. The moment you show that your mood depends on what others do, they know exactly where to apply pressure. Do not offer your pain freely. Pain, when seen, invites predators. Not all will harm you, but the ones who can, will. Not out of malice, out of instinct. There is a reason the wounded animal is never the leader of the pack. When you are in pain, retreat. Repair yourself in silence. Speak when the wound is closed, not while it bleeds. Power is not found in being untouched. It is found in not bleeding in front of those who would benefit from your weakness. And now, the seventh habit. The most invisible, the most seductive, the most difficult to kill. It is the habit of trying to be understood. You explain your intentions. You reveal your past. You share every motive, hoping that if they just understand you, they will treat you better. This is a lie the weak tell themselves. They do not need to understand you. They need to respect your presence. They need to see that crossing you has a cost, even if you never raise your voice. Especially if you never raise your voice. You must accept this truth. Most people do not care about your story. They care about what you tolerate, what you allow, what you let repeat. Clarity is not given by your words. It is enforced by your standards. Stop trying to be understood. Be undeniable instead. Withdraw from those who drain you. Remain unreadable to those who try to dissect you. And never teach others how to hurt you by exposing what matters most. This is how you shift. You move from emotional to unreadable, from reactive to strategic, from seen to felt, because power is not about who speaks the most. It is about who moves least when provoked. Let us review, not to repeat, but to reinforce. Over-explaining, emotional availability, apologizing for your needs, being too reachable, seeking reassurance, complaining, craving understanding. These 7 habits are not sins, they are signals. Signals that the wolves use to find their prey. Signals that the powerful use to choose their tools. Signals that people with no loyalty use to decide who will be expendable. Remove these habits, and you will lose people, but only the ones who stayed because you were easy to use. What you lose in noise, you gain in peace. Power does not begin with speech. It begins with restraint. Before you speak, before you act, the world is already watching. They are reading how you carry yourself, how you respond to pressure, how quickly you flinch. If you wish to change how people treat you, you must first change how much of yourself you make available. There is a presence that speaks louder than any voice. It comes from silence, from stillness, from being unfazed. That is what powerful people look for and fear. Understand this. When people cannot predict you, they become cautious. They overthink. They second-guess. And in their uncertainty, they hand you the advantage. The moment you become unreadable, you stop being manageable. You do not need to intimidate. You need to be unmoved. If someone insults you and you react, they win. If someone excludes you and you try to explain your worth, they win. If someone tries to provoke you and you stay calm, they begin to wonder. Do not defend. Do not explain. Let their questions go unanswered. Let their provocations fall into silence. This does not make you passive. It makes you sovereign. You must train people to adjust their tone before speaking to you. You must teach them that your attention is a privilege, not a default. You do this not by words, but by distance. Do not punish with anger. Punish with absence. Absence forces reflection. It creates uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, They learn to respect what was once too accessible. Presence is earned through unpredictability. If they know exactly when you will respond, exactly how you will react, exactly what will make you stay, they stop respecting you. Predictability is the death of power. Instead, build a rhythm they cannot track. Disappear without notice. Respond only when it suits you. Show warmth only when it serves you. Do not be cruel. Be controlled. Even in kindness, remain watchful. Even in connection, remain separate. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be respected. And respect is never given freely. It is cultivated through discipline, through denial, through distance. Some will say you are cold. Let them. Some will say you have changed. Let them. They are not wrong. You have changed. You are no longer chasing peace through obedience. You are creating peace through authority. There is no virtue in being endlessly available. There is no nobility in being constantly understood. There is no strength in being emotionally transparent to people who have not earned your trust. Let them wonder. Let them adjust. That is how control begins. To the emotionally addicted, silence feels like cruelty. To the manipulative, silence feels like punishment. To the powerful, silence feels like presence. You must become fluent in silence. Speak when needed. Move when it matters. Hold your ground when they test it. Let your unpredictability become your protection. People treat you based on what they believe they can get away with. Your job is to make that boundary invisible but undeniable. Never raise your voice. Raise your standard. Never chase behavior. Withdraw your energy. Never argue with disrespect. Replace your presence with your absence. This is not emotional. It is strategic. It is how power preserves itself. You do not fight every battle. You choose which wars to make impossible. There is a shift that must take place if you are to stop being predictable. It begins in the mind long before the behavior. You must remove the idea that fairness will protect you. You must destroy the belief that your intentions matter more than your posture. You must stop expecting the world to reward goodness. It does not. The powerful do not survive by being good. They survive by being unreadable. This is the mindset of power. They do not assume loyalty. They test for it. They do not assume kindness. They measure how it is used. And they never confuse vulnerability with trust because they know every weakness revealed today can be used tomorrow. This is not bitterness. It is survival. If you walk through the world assuming that others think like you will always lose to those who do not. Powerful people do not flinch when ignored. They do not chase after apologies. They do not ask twice. They decide. They act. Then they vanish if disrespected. That is what you must become. Detached. Not because you do not feel, but because you do not perform emotion for those who have not earned it. Your reactions are your most expensive currency. Spend them only on what builds you. When someone withdraws from you, let them. When someone disrespects you, go silent. When someone tests you, pass the test by not responding. That is where power lives, in the pause, not in the plea. Do not confuse being numb with being disciplined. This is not about killing feeling. It is about refusing to be enslaved by it. Emotional control is not a denial of pain. It is the ability to carry pain without making it public. It is the refusal to bleed in front of those who enjoy watching you suffer. This is what makes you untouchable. They try to provoke, and you do not move. They try to manipulate, and you do not explain. They try to test, and you do not respond. Eventually, they stop trying, because when reaction becomes rare, so does access. And when access becomes rare, value rises. There are two kinds of people in every room, those who are watched and those who are observing. Be the one who observes. Study who interrupts. Study who needs attention. Study who performs strength and who enforces it silently. Never interrupt when someone reveals their own weakness. Never rescue someone who is testing your boundaries. And never make your emotional world easier to enter than your home. You must become a fortress not by building walls, but by building standards. The weak give access based on emotion. The powerful give access based on loyalty, respect, and restraint. You do not owe connection to anyone who demands it. You do not owe softness to anyone who weaponizes it. And you do not owe clarity to anyone who failed to earn your trust. This is the mindset that must replace people-pleasing. Your silence is more powerful than your argument. Your distance is more punishing than your anger. Your restraint is more intimidating than any threat. Move like someone who has nothing to prove. Speak like someone who expects to be heard once. Disappear like someone who knows they will be missed. Let your absence speak. Let your detachment train them. Let your calm become your control. Disrespect does not arrive loudly. It arrives quietly. It tests the perimeter. It watches how you respond to small slights. It measures whether your boundaries are symbolic or real. And once it finds weakness, it escalates. Most people fail not because they are disrespected once, but because they allow it twice. This is how you must think. Every moment is training. You are training others how to treat you by what you accept, by what you tolerate, by what you do not confront. The emotionally reactive will try to correct disrespect with words. The powerful correct it with absence. If someone interrupts you repeatedly, stop speaking. Let silence humiliate them. If someone mocks you in front of others, look at them as if they are beneath reaction. Say nothing. Let the discomfort do the work. If someone crosses your boundary, withdraw completely. No warning, no closure. Let the consequence be total and quiet. This is how you change your reputation. Not by confrontation, by disappearance. The truly powerful are feared not because they are aggressive, but because when they are wronged, something changes permanently. You cannot explain to someone why they should value you. You cannot beg someone into seeing your worth. You can only enforce your value through loss. Let them feel the silence. Let them feel the shift. Let them learn through your absence what your presence once gave them. When you stop explaining, they start wondering. When you stop reaching, they start calculating. And when you stop trying, they start regretting. The moment you allow disrespect without consequence, you teach them how to treat you. And once that training is complete, you will be trapped in a role you cannot escape. You must make yourself harder to access, not to punish, but to protect. You cannot control how others act, but you can control what happens after. This is what powerful people do. They do not try to change others. They change the rules of access. Someone leaves. Distance. Someone disrespects you once. Space. Someone tries to guilt you for having standards. Detachment. Do not lecture them. Do not negotiate your worth. Do not wait for them to understand. Your value is not up for discussion. Your peace is not a group project. Your boundary is not a request. This is how you command respect. You remove your presence like oxygen, and you do it early, before the damage builds, before you become resentful, before you start justifying what should never be allowed. Powerful people do not give second chances to patterns. They watch once, and they decide. You must become so loyal to your peace that anyone who disrupts it becomes irrelevant. You must treat yourself like someone whose time is sacred, because if you do not, no one else will. Respect is not requested. It is imposed by what you do after they cross the line. They do not need to understand the line. They only need to feel the cost of crossing it. That is how reputations are built. That is how power is preserved. You are not here to explain yourself to those who already chose not to listen. You are not here to prove your worth to those who benefit from ignoring it. You are here to create a world where your standards govern access. No apologies, no performance, just distance. You have learned to speak less. You have learned to observe more. You have learned to replace reaction with silence and availability with presence. But there is one final shift. It is not something you show them. It is something you decide in private and live by, without exception. It is the end of emotional bargaining. You no longer enter rooms hoping to be liked. You no longer stay in places where you are tolerated. You no longer compromise your peace to win comfort, validation, or belonging. You enter spaces with one question. Does this respect who I am when I am at my strongest? Not when you are small, not when you are soft, but when you are at full power, cold, clear, immovable. Because the powerful do not fear what you say. They fear what you will no longer tolerate. You must make peace with being misunderstood. You must become immune to their discomfort. And you must walk away without explaining even when everything in you wants to be seen. This is what separates the untouchable from the exhausted. The exhausted argue with people who cannot hear them. They explain their soul to people who only see utility. They try to win respect through kindness, hoping consistency will create loyalty. But loyalty built on comfort is temporary. Loyalty built on consequence is permanent. Let them call you distant. Let them call you cold. Let them call you changed. That is what happens when you stop leaking power. They will feel the gap. They will feel the silence. They will feel the shift from emotional labor to emotional control. And they will learn, not because you taught them, but because you stopped showing up where your value was invisible. This is the final truth. You were never too emotional. You were just emotional around the wrong people. You were never too soft. You were just soft in environments that punished softness. You were never weak. You just had habits that taught others how to ignore your strength. Now, those habits are gone. You do not chase. You do not explain. You do not beg. You decide. You remove. You rebuild. Every habit you break teaches someone a new way to treat you. Every silence you hold becomes a mirror they cannot escape. And every time you walk away without a word, your power compounds. They may never say it, but they feel it. The difference between who you were and who you are now. They do not understand you, and they never will. That is your greatest advantage. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them regret. You do not need their permission to become untouchable. You already are. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment about your journey. Someone may need to read it. Subscribe if you are ready to grow through this together.